Alright, so Palace Summer 2020 collection is dropping this Friday, the first week of the collection. Drop 1 is dropping this Friday, May 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just did a massive lookbook review, whatever, full range review, and I'll put that in the description below. It is close to half an hour long, so I decided to also make this like top 10 video to kind of condense it and show you guys like my picks for the season, not in any specific order, just a top 10 in general for the season. Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. So we'll start off with the accessories. First off, you have the tri-snake pendant, and this is obviously just a gold necklace, pendant. I do believe it comes with the chain as well, and we see this graphic on a lot of designs this season, or a lot of silhouettes, a lot of pieces this season. It's just a triferg, and then it also has a serpent, a snake, weaved in and around the triferg, and then also there is some barbed wire going on it. And some of the colorways are a little hit and miss for me. Some of the like colors that the triferg appears against, like we do have this kind of like pink colorway, but when it's all gold, I really like it. I think this looks really cool. This is probably one of their better pendants I've seen from them, so I really like this one. It's gonna be dumb expensive, but yeah, Palace usually does cool pendants. So the other accessory I have on the list is this P-Lux body bag in the orange colorway, though it's kind of more towards like a golden than a orange, or definitely not like a bright orange or anything like that. But basically you just have this leather, and I believe it is like kind of a crossbody bag, like it loops around this way. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments though. And I actually am not a big fan of the like crossbody bags, but I do really like how this one looks. It kind of reminds me of like one of those holster harnesses, like with the pistols on the side. I think those are really cool, but I don't know if there are many practical instances to wear those other than being a police or a cowboy or something. But I think this looks cool. It's simple enough, but loud enough with the branding. It's got this all over design, and I like it. It does look elegant or luxurious, hence the P-Lux name. So next we have the Don't Skate on a Sunday tee, and I chose this white colorway to show off because it's the easiest to see the front triferg on. And if you guys haven't seen the back of this design, there's just kind of like some glowing light radiating from some heavenly gates. But I definitely like the triferg on this. It's like kind of wobbly, a little melted or distorted, which Palace has done in the past, but not this triferg. I do kind of wish they had the triferg big on the back, just because it's so small on the chest here. Would have been cool to see this triferg at least on the back, definitely over some of the other trifergs. I think this kind of like wobbly one that's featured on the front of it might be my favorite triferg that they have this season. Moving on, we have the French Ones t-shirt, and I chose the white colorway, and I actually think this might be the best colorway, just because since this design contains so many colors in it. You see the red, the blue, the green, the yellow. It's got all these colors in it. When they put it on a different background other than like white or gray, especially with the gray compared to the white, it doesn't really pop as well. But when you put it on one of those like primary colorways, some of the design gets lost in it because they don't really swap up the colors of the graphic when swapping the color of the tee. So I like the white for the reason that the design itself stands out the best against that color or that background. As far as the design itself goes, this is kind of like a theme park, or like you got the roller coaster in the background, some Palace branding. And if you're wondering what the spelling says, it says Le Parc des Palais. Moving on, I know I said this isn't in any specific order, but if I did have to rank this one, it probably would be towards the lower end of the top 10. This is the Globlerone t-shirt. So you have a world, or a globe kind of condensed into that Toblerone triangle shape, or the triferg shape, of course, being Palace. Turned into kind of a stick figure. He's got some eyeballs and some arms, and then you have Palace, and I want to say Comic Sans is that font. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but it is like definitely a more childish font, or a more playful font. But one of the things I like about this design is how easily it is to like recognize everything. Everything stands out very well, and especially across all these different colorways. And that being said, with all these colorways that comes in, even though the yellow is my favorite, I think that it's a good design. It just works well with all these different colorways. Doesn't look bad, but just because of how kind of like tacky it looks because of that font, is probably why it ranks a little bit lower on my top 10, but still squeaks in. So next up we have the tri-pumping with some shocks or coilovers or some on the back, and actually the same design on the front really. It's just, you know, classic tri-ferg where they do the small one on the front, big one on the back, and yeah, it is what it is, just 3 of them making up the triangle, and then you have Palace going throughout the pieces, kind of intertwined, if you will. But I definitely like this colorway the most, the gray colorway, and I think the blue and the pink work well together. They've done some tri-fergs like this before with this coloration, and I do like the mix of that color on a more normal or not as loud background. So this is another piece that would probably be on the lower end or maybe like the middle-ish area for the top 10. This is the Palace XX long sleeve, and of course you have like a Scotch bottle, I believe it was probably intended to be, and on the front you're going to have a little bit different of a design, and then on the sleeves you have the script, and the script is, or like the scripture, this text, it's kind of like the same thing that's wrapped around the top of the bottle, around the cap, the cork, whatever. And I'm not crazy about that scripture, the writing on the sleeves, which is why I would probably rank it a little bit lower. I really wish this came in a short sleeve variant rather than the long sleeve, so we could just get rid of that text or just have the long sleeve without it. That would be nice, but I guess it does not. And I think the yellow is probably my favorite colorway, because against some of the other colorways, the bottle seems a little more like transparent, or maybe less saturated is a better word. It just doesn't pop, you know. It doesn't have that same kind of like energy that the yellow does, and I think it's just a combination of the print over that yellow works well, especially with that amber liquid. I think it helps accentuate it. So next up we have the Sign Das Waiver Crew, and I really like this red, white, and blue colorway. And if you're wondering what it says, below Palace says Good Life, and I think Palace and the tri-ferg patch are both, or I think they're like kind of like patches rather than just a graphic or embroidery. So I think that looks cool. Looks like nice quality going into this. I like the split, the color blocking. It's just all around a cool piece. Definitely gives off like a sporting vibe, almost like Olympic or something along those lines. Next up is another tri-ferg, kind of cool, the Tri-Tex tri-ferg, and this is of course the hoodie, and I like this colorway the most, the white colorway, because when you swap between the colorways or the color of the blank, then you also swap the tri-ferg colors, and I think the colors that they used for this tri-ferg work best. Kind of funny, the bottom color kind of looks like some PewDiePie design stuff, but that being said, I think this design had a lot more potential had they chosen different colors or colors of the tri-fergs against the color of the piece. They just didn't really match up that well in my opinion. Some of them are just kind of weird, and due to that I think this had a lot more potential than where it kind of ranks right now. So if you're keeping track, we are at number 10, and this is the peeled hood in the desert colorway. And the desert colorway is my favorite out of the 3 that they have. They also have kind of like a snow one, and then a blue like urban one, or whatever you want to call it. And a big reason why I like this piece is because of how hidden or subtle the tri-ferg is, how well it blends, and obviously this is a camo piece, so it makes sense to, you know, kind of stick with that camo, hidden military aspect nature of it, and kind of make it hide. Because if you look at the pattern, like all of the lighter color blends very well with the tri-ferg, while it is still very easily distinguishable against the background, the camo background. It's still very easy to tell that the tri-ferg is there, but there aren't that many like edges present where the tri-ferg would overlay the darker color of the camo and make it a little bit more jarring. So I really like how they executed this. The front, the tri-ferg on the front, I think is done a little more poorly, but it's probably a lot more difficult because you're still dealing with the same size camo patterns, but then you have a tri-ferg on a much smaller scale, so it's a little bit hard to make that work. But I do really like the tri-fergs on the back of these. I think they're really cool. That's about it though. This is my top 10 for the season. I haven't had a whole lot of time to go over it as much as I usually do. Been working and then busy with YouTube and stuff. But as it stands right now, this is my top 10 currently for the season. So with that being said, what are your guys' top items? Probably just like, what's your favorite item from the season? Something like that. Are you planning on copying? But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out.